Welcome to Amplifying Wellness with TLC, a place where we discuss your self-care and wellness through guest stories, information, and tips on how to live healthier and happier lives. We are Twin Life Coaching and Business Services with your host, myself, Tara Lehman, and my business partner and, of course, twin sister, Barb Schutz. We care about increasing awareness around your self-care and mental health through this podcast, coaching, consulting, and more. To find out more about our services and our community, please visit us at twinlifecoaching.ca. As a reminder, this podcast is for sharing of stories and information only and is not intended to be or replace any medical advice you are seeking or have received.
Today we are welcoming Jamie Lerner, co-author of the book, The Ever-Loving Essence of You, and how you can put a fresh spin on just about anything that anyone throws at you. Welcome to the show, Jamie.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm wondering if we can start off with you telling us a bit about your background with regards to wellness and self-care.
So I actually did my master's in social work and then went on to have a private practice doing psychotherapy. And what I realized is that I wasn't really helping anybody because I was always asking them to look back. And then there was really no time to look forward. Or to even think about what was happening in the future. So I gave it up after many years and studied and traveled, and now I do something really different, which is assisting people in assisting themselves to getting from where they are to where they want to be. And a lot of that is based on how we can nourish and nurture ourselves back into connection.
Awesome. I love that. I love helping people create a vision for the future instead of looking at the past. Tell us why you think that looking forward and changing your path is such an important topic for you or for your clients.
So I think that it's really important for us to kind of identify where we are in our now. And a lot of people are continually asked to look back, to get that vision. And I really don't think that has a whole lot to do with where we are now. I think in some ways that it does help us understand our strengths and what our superpowers are, because for a lot of us, we've had many challenges from our families of origin or whatever all that stuff was. But to be in our here and now and to look at things from an adult perspective, I think is very helpful for us to begin to identify what we might like for ourselves moving forward.
I have to mention, I love that you brought up strengths and superpowers, because I think when we're looking forward, we really need to hone in on those to help us build where we want to go. And I think knowing our superpowers is something that is such an important piece and vital for knowing our path forward. You know, like those key strengths. Is there like a quick, tool that you use to help your clients with strengths or with understanding their superpowers?
Well, once again, asking people to look at what happened in the past from the right here and now perspective, because as adults, we see it differently. And I think that we can identify a lot of strengths that we have built upon based on things that maybe were not so pleasant, so contrast. And then based on that, how can we tap into our here and now and then start thinking about, what is it that we want for ourselves?
So can you share what some challenges you see for others around their futures or, even, creating their path forward?
I think people get stuck because they're not usually asked what they are wanting. And that's such a big question. And so I think they avoid that at all costs and kind of just like take on the roles that were assigned to them or diagnoses or whatever those labels are as a way to kind of excuse themselves from asking that very important question, like, what do I want for myself? Not for another, but for myself. And I think just the very question alone, just it redirects us back to ourselves. instead of looking outside of ourselves for everything. Because ideally, I think that we are our own greatest resource.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I love that. And when it comes to labeling and using those almost as excuses, I see that a lot with clients who, I have to go into this part of a career because that's what's expected of me. And just as you mentioned, it's really how do we come back to ourselves and what we really want, and doing that self-reflection rather than worrying about what the world says we should be doing, right?
Yes. I think that we have to develop a relationship with ourselves where we feel like we are our own greatest resource, that we can turn inward when we have a problem instead of looking outward for the solution.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's a
agree.
really big challenge for a lot of people because, like you said, we're always doing for others and not doing for ourselves.
The problem is it doesn't work because we get so resentful because there's nothing we have to really offer. And yet we hide behind all of our roles as our excuse why we don't do the self-care. And I think that the self-care is the key to everything. The connection with ourselves, the relationship with ourselves, the connection with other people. And I think it's a really important thing because no one can do that for you.
Yeah.
We expect others to do it, but when they do, it doesn't really sustain us. So when we do it for ourselves, it's very long lasting. It's nourishing and nurturing. And then we have something to give back to others, which I think is a win-win.
Yeah, yeah.
And certainly leads to happier lives when we're doing something for ourselves that we truly want rather than that path someone chose for us.
Exactly.
So when we remember or when we feel the need to start to have that power to create our own future, why is it important to, number one, remember that we have that power, but then also remind ourselves that we have that power?
Because no one else is going to do that.
Yeah, it's true.
They're going to remind us of a lot of negative things.
Okay.
And the thing that I do tell people is when you start to get a vision for what you're wanting, don't tell anyone about it because it really needs to be something for you, about you. And the minute you share it, I think that it gets very intimidating because everyone has a point of view about what you want. They don't know what they want for themselves, but they're really clear about what you want and what you should be doing.
Yes.
So I think it's kind of a private journey. And the longer that you keep it that way until you're really clear about what you do want, and then your actions will speak for themselves.
Yeah, I like that. And I think it's, keeping it to yourselves or good self-reflections. And when you're ready, like you said, to bring it forward and let people know. And then, so when all those people, no matter what time you bring it forward, that start trying to control again, what do we do to kind of, I don't want to say push back, maybe that's the wrong word, but like so that we can still move forward with our own power for our future?
I think when we get comfortable with ourselves, it's kind of like coming home. It's kind of like remembering and allowing ourselves to be guided by our inner knowing, our inner being. Then I think when we're so clear, we don't really care what other people are saying to us. And because we know, we always know for ourselves. I've never heard anyone say, I should not have listened to myself. And I hear people all the time say, I should have listened to myself because we do know our intuition is guiding us all the time. Now, whether we listen or not, it doesn't matter, but it's very important to acknowledge that you heard the intuition and you decided not to go with it. And then, of course, you say, I should have listened to myself. Well, of course you should have, because you know for yourself, not for another.
Well said.
Well said, for sure.
Do you have a couple of wins that maybe you can share that some of your clients have had around doing this journey?
Yeah, I have a lot of wins. And my big wins are when people don't need me anymore because they got it. And that's what it's all about. That's what being in the wellness business is all about, is assisting people in assisting themselves.
Yeah.
So, and it's a beautiful thing to watch people really begin to relax into who they are and kind of feel their way through decision making. And so, of course, we're there to, to reinforce that and to encourage that and to also, cheer clients on. But it's really has so little to do with us.
Support systems, right?
Yes, but reminding people that they are really doing this themselves.
They're their own support system.
Yes.
So it's an interesting conversation because, as you can see, and most people know who are listening, Barb and I are identical twins, and we were called the twins, sometimes still are. And it almost became like we were one identity and we were expected to do a lot of the same things or have the same friends, which in most cases we did. And, even our business today is because we both individually decided the coaching and consulting path. So Barb still does this part-time. I do it full-time, but it's an interesting conversation when you talk to us identical twins who are like, at some point we had to create our own path forward and tear apart the identity that was given to us just because of who we are. And trust me, everybody who knows us well knows Barb and I are insanely close.
But very different.
But
we have very different personalities.
Yeah,
exactly. And did you cheer each other on during that
Always,
process?
still do.
Great. That's really nice.
Yeah, so I think it's a very interesting conversation because we can see that from a totally different lens. So there could be other people out there that, maybe they're not identical twins, but that maybe have that brother that became a police officer and followed in dad's footsteps. And so the next brother's expected, to do those things. And I think even Barb and I can attest to everything you're saying is be yourself. Who are you? Do that discovery, because even though we were always put together and we love each other insanely, but put together as in this is the path we're both going to do. We found our own paths. We even did different things in university. I mean, it's such an awesome, thing that you bring to your clients is really that self-awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me ask you this. If you had to, give our audience a few different tips or tricks that they could do as a self-reflection, to help them get started at least on what does it mean to have that self-reflection and to create that path forward. Are there some tools, tricks, or information that you can maybe help us out with?
I like to suggest to people they sit with themselves first thing in the morning and identify one thing that they really appreciate about themselves. Not what someone else appreciates about you, but what do you appreciate about yourself? And I think just that simple exercise really allows people to tap in and to think about, wow, like what do I appreciate about me? So that's a great way to start the day, every day.
I love that one.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I do a gratitude journal every night as well. And, when you first start, it's difficult to think about what it is that you appreciate rather than what was there that was appreciative. You know what I mean? So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great starting point. Are there other ideas that people can do, like once they've got kind of something like that under their belt?
So to sit and listen to the mind chatter, because it is unbelievable how much chatter there is in the background, and to begin to identify what some of those things that we're saying to ourselves are. And usually they are very unkind and things that we would not say to another human being. They're so unkind. And when we identify that, we need to throw ourselves on the floor and laugh hysterically because, of course, like 99% of it is not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's actually, I like that. I like that kind of analogy.
It's the negative self-talk, right? We have so much of it.
And we're not even aware of it, but it's in the background all the time. And believe me, if we are talking negatively about ourselves, then that is the lens we are seeing others through. And that's not very kind. So then we become very judgmental, and that doesn't feel good either. So to kind of like pull this apart just a little bit and do it with some humor and some levity, I think it really helps us catch ourselves in moments when we're judging others and ask ourselves, like, what is happening in this moment that I'm so disconnected from me? What am I projecting onto others? Because it's never about another, ever, ever. People do not like to hear that, but
it's not.
so
And
true.
the only people we can change are ourselves. We can't change anybody else. So if we want to create our own path forward, it's about who are we and how do we change that?
Or just shift. Change is too big. But if we can make a little shift, I think that that's easier. And I think that that like feels more manageable.
Yeah, the small steps.
Baby steps go a long way.
Oh, I like that. I really do like that.
And then to start doing the things for yourself that you wish others would do for you.
Oh, and so both of us are like, oh, yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Yes. So if it's your birthday, buy yourself a birthday present. The birthday present that you wish others would buy for you, put it in a beautiful box, wrap it up, write yourself a card. Instead of wishing someone else would do that for you, then being disappointed that they didn't. I mean, really, how silly, when you have the power to do all of those things for yourself because you're important and you matter.
Yeah.
It's like getting
I
yourself
like that.
a bouquet of flowers.
Just buy yourself what you want, or not necessarily buy, and just do what you want. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's self-empowering.
It is. People spend so much time wishing that other people would do things. Like people don't even have a clue. But when others do things for another person that is not doing for themselves, it doesn't last very long. It's not sustaining or fulfilling. When you do it for yourself, it feels amazing.
You touched on a key word too, is the word wish. So a lot of people, when they look at their future, it's, I wish I could do that. And I tend to tell people to change that word. It's not about wishing, it's about how can you get there, right? Do you find that with your client base as well, that the word wish or I will never come up a lot?
I do, and they are not even aware of what they're saying.
Yeah.
So to become conscious of that and to just change one word, I think it goes a long way. Like even to say, I wonder if I could do this for myself, But once again, I think when we give people the opportunity to look at themselves in a way that feels good, I think that people do it.
Yeah.
That's great.
And you feel good about it and you feel happier for sure.
Yeah. Is there any other tips you wanted to share?
Oh my goodness, there's so many, but it's so different for everyone. Like for everyone, nourishing and nurturing and is so different. So, whatever feels good to you, get back to it. Taking a bath, or if you have a hobby that you literally just gave up because you didn't think you had time, like go back and dabble in it. Just little things, little things. And once again, don't tell people about it. This is like your secret. And it should feel good to have a secret that you're doing something for yourself. So, yeah.
So would that be your big tip today then, is to keep it to yourself for a bit?
Keep it to yourself. Absolutely. And then walk your talk. Because clearly, that is so much more real than just talking about it.
For sure.
That is so true. So, Jamie, if our audience wanted to find out or learn a bit more about you or how to reach you, can you tell us how they can find you online?
Sure. I have a website. It's www.jamie-lerner.com.
Excellent.
Well, thank you so much, Jamie, for the conversation today. It was great.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
We also want to remind our listeners of our Amplifying Your Wellness with TLC community. We're here for you and can help you through a safe and welcoming community with discussion groups, ebooks, workshops, resources, and more. You can find the link on our website to explore this as well. We hope to see you there.
And thank you again to Jamie and, of course, all our listeners for joining us today. We hope you were able to take away a key takeaway or some great tips that help you on your self-care journey. To learn more about all of our services, please visit us at twinlifecoaching.ca. Until next time, remember, you've got this.